Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. I hope everybody's got over the excitement of Saturday. I think the atmosphere was electric at times. It was wonderful. On to Thursday, but that's all I'm going to mention on Thursday. I'm going to close my ears because I can't make it. So I'm away with work. So I hope you all have a lovely time. Just a couple of things to mention. Firstly, thank you very much for all the people who helped clear up on Saturday after the game, the streamers and the balloons, much appreciated. It just helps a bit to do our bit because we threw them and everything, so it just helps our bit to clear them up. So thank you for the people that helped. And also, I've been asked to say that when lifelong Swindon Town supporter Tony Barrett sadly passed away a short while ago, and it's his funeral tomorrow. So just to say that our thoughts are with family and friends at this sad time, with the family, with Steve and Julian, and hope Tony rests in peace. And I'm sure he'll be given a helping hand on Thursday when the teams are at Port Vale. So thank you for that. So tonight we have Steve White. We have got a few technical problems with Steve again. We can hear him, we can't see him. So let's get Vic on first, and let's see. Hello.
Hi, Chris. Yes.
How are you?
I'm all right. You said that about Thursday through gritted teeth, but you did it splendidly. So well done.
I am absolutely gutted.
Yes,
I could get out of it. I would, but I can't.
Yeah, but it's not a thing you joke about. I would like to say at this juncture, I'd like to pay tribute to those SAS Travel, to Sally and Mark, for the extraordinary work that they do. They've sold out at the moment for the Port Vale coaches. So that's it. They've sold out right now. They have searched around for other buses. They've tried to, but I think it's worth saying at this point that obviously with this sort of time of the year, there are school runs going on. So there is a paucity of buses. Yeah. It's that simple. So Sally and Mark have tried their best to get as many buses as they possibly can. But at the moment, they've sold out of the Port Vale trip. But we pay tribute to them. So they do fantastic work. And they do it for nothing, like everybody with the supporters club does. So I just want to make that point.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I was talking to them both on Saturday, and they had a bit of a torrid time on the Friday evening with everything. So they were there for a long time. So it was a bit manic. So fair play to them. Okay, so let's get Steve on. Well, we will hear him. Hello.
Hi, Chris. Can you hear?
We can hear you, Steve. We're a little bit. No, we're a little bit sort of, this secrecy is getting a bit much now, to be honest with you. You need to get somebody to teach you how to use a camera. I think it's fair.
Right, I'm going to leave you for a moment then. So I will be back. If there's any questions, please leave them. We will get through as many as we can, as usual.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chris. We've got other panel members to come in a little while, but obviously with Steve, our main concern is the playoffs right now. We're at half-time, Steve, and as a member of 3 Swindon Town playoff teams, if I remember rightly, half-time in these playoffs, all right, albeit the first one was slightly different to the way these will map out. But how are you feeling half-time in a playoff campaign?
Well, I was away from home at the weekend, Vic, and following the game closely, obviously, on the WhatsApp and text and all the rest of it. And just delighted to see they were 2-0 up. McCurdy in fine form, of course, getting the 2 goals early in the first half. And then the 68th minute, was it, second goal. But then, of course, they got the late one back, which is give them something to really cling on to. And 1 goal margin going into the second game away at Port Vale is a slender margin. But having said that, you've just said yourself that 3 or 4 times in the 8 years I was at Swindon, 4 times actually, wasn't it?
4 times, you're quite right. Yes,
the Palace one in '89
when
we fell in the semi-final. That was a 1-0 scoreline to us at home. So they're just so close and tight margins, and very difficult to call. What I will say is the opponents are strong, well organised, and Darryl Clark is a highly respected coach there. I know from his time at Bristol Rovers, it's going to be anybody's call.
It's extraordinary, really, isn't it? The situation the club is in, because Yeah, I remember this time last year we were all talking about does it have a future? But I just wonder whether, as a player, how do you view the second leg? Do you view it as just to go? It's a one-off. You've got to go there to win. Do you go there to protect what you have? How do you view that?
Yeah, well, it's very tricky, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure that Ben Garner will know the Port Vale players, intimately. Every strength and weakness of every one of their players. I know they're playing. They played with the 4 on Saturday across the back, and he would be deciding what he wants to do with strategy. Will it be a 4-3-3, or will he revert to 3 across the back, and hence what becomes a back 5 and play counter-attacking style? For me, I think he should stick with going to try and win the game. But of course, all sorts of things can happen in the course of 90 minutes, and all those variables, and he will have to react to every single one of them, and hopefully he makes more of the right calls.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it was very close to being a 3-0 scoreline, but as you know, in playoff football, 3-0 isn't necessarily a guarantee of success, is it? It's psychologically. Does 2-1 make it easier for Thursday in terms of, you have to really be on your game than 2-0? Do you see the point I'm making? It's a tricky old scoreline, because if you concede really early, then you're up against it, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, away goals don't count double, do they? That's the rules scrapped. So really, they need to score a goal, don't they, at Vale Park? And they need to go there with the thoughts, especially with the attacking players that we've got, with the thoughts in mind that we're going there to try and score against Port Vale. And I think it will be folly to try and defend the lead and play a counter-attack game myself. I think we need to play not an open game, but a game where we can press them at the right time if they're trying to play out from the back, and we need to go on the front foot.
Well, comments coming in already. Rich says, hello, Steve White. We're going to Wembley and need better ref and linesman. Very poor on Sunday. Darren says, Steve White, proper legend. Goes without saying that, Darren. Rob says, watch the PV cloggers try and do McCurdy early doors Thursday. They got away with GBH yesterday. Now, there were a few challenges that went in early on, which I got to say, sitting in the stand, I thought if the referee clamped down early on that, it might have stopped it. What's your view on that? I mean, there's the dark arts, isn't there, Steve? We all know about those. You would know about it more than us. It's professional. They happen, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's part and parcel of the game, and we try. As professionals, there's a line to be crossed, and you, at times, with the emotion of the game, with the passion that I played with, sometimes you go close and near to that line, and all sorts of things go on a football pitch. Although I must say nowadays, especially at the Premier League level, it's difficult to get away with too much nowadays. But when I played, if you tackle and followed through, it took the ball in man. The terminology was then. It was a fair challenge. But nowadays, of course, if you follow through, then you run the risk of a red card. So yeah, I mean, all sorts of psychological ploys and will come into play with individual players against a direct opponent in different parts of the pitch, and knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the player you're directly up against. Does he have a short fuse? As a centre forward, if the centre half's coming through you and challenging, can he receive a yellow card early on? And the referees make an important stance here, of course. And most refs in a big game, a playoff game, a cup final, they want to try and keep their cards in the pocket as long as they can. I'm sure most referees feel that way of it. But of course, if there's something that crosses the line, then they have to respond accordingly. And if it's a yellow card or a red card, then if it's that serious, then so be it.
The W word, I'm kind of a bit loath to use it, really, because I have no effect on what's going to happen on Thursday. But it's like I've got the same shirt on for the last 4 games. It's beginning to walk to matches now, to be honest. But you know what it's like, superstitions. These things happen, don't they? We all have them.
Yeah.
What are your feelings then? How do you feel ahead of this second leg?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, Vic, I've done very few commentary games in the last year, so I'm not an expert on every individual player at the club this year. Obviously, I watched a Man City game at home, and we can see that McCurdy has got great ability and great pace, and he needs to be fed. We need to go for it in that respect, I'm sure. And there's a lot of other good players as well. Baudry has come back into the centre of defence. He's 36 plus, lots of experience with Conroy. So yeah, it's so difficult to call, isn't it? And I think if we can get an early goal, then Ben Garner's strategy may evolve and may change as we go along.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ben Garner said after the game that he was very much going there to win it, and their away record is quite exemplary, isn't it? I mean, that's the one thing that you would definitely point in Swindon's favour. Port Vale's away record is pretty good too, but Swindon won there, of course, in the league. But as a player, does that mean anything, or is it's a fresh game on Thursday night, isn't it? That's the point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, from my experience, obviously the semi-finals that we were in, the Palace semi-final in '89 is lost by the odd goal. They scored 2 against us up there and beat us 2-0, 1-0 at home. I remember having a shot that I still believe now was over the line to make it 2-0 at the county ground in it, but it wasn't given. So there's such small margins, and of course the Tranmere semi-final in '93, that was a 5-4 margin, and so it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. There's so much at stake, and let's hope that we can take a bit. Well, I know we will. You're just saying you've got your coaches fully booked, many of them, and the bigger following we can take up there, the better. What is their capacity?
Well, I think we've got 2,000 plus fans there. I think their capacity is just under 10,000 because they did that to avoid COVID passports, if I remember rightly, and they had to keep that capacity this season. So there'll be 10,000 or just under, I guess. And as you know, at Vale Park, it's such a huge ground, isn't it? There will be lots of empty yellow seats, I'm guessing.
Yeah, one of the biggest pitches in the country that I played on there. It absolutely is. So that in itself may be a big factor in the game. And I'm sure that because it's not easy to defend a wider space, and that's why some of these teams like Liverpool, they're quite happy to have a narrower pitch and not a great length on their pitch, for instance, with the intensity they try and play out. So the size of the pitch may make a big effect on the game.
Yeah, it suits Swindon's style as well, doesn't it? The passing game, they can knock the ball about.
That's how they play. Their away form, as you say, has been outstanding. I don't know if they've played 5 at the back for many of those games, Vic. I'm sure you can tell me, or if they've gone with the back 4. And what I've just said about the size of their pitch, it may influence Ben Garner's thinking, maybe to drop another defender in there as they're away from home and because of the width of the pitch at Vale Park, and just block it up a little bit. But that doesn't necessarily mean playing a counter-attack football, because you can still get your wing-backs forward and maybe play a 5-2-3 sort of formation with 3 front-running players.
Are you able to stick with us, Steve? Are you able to stay for the... Lovely. Okay.
Yes, of course I'm okay. I'm just sorry you can't... Not that pretty anymore, Vic.
I've got a comment here. Let me just have a look. Yeah, Rob says, we only come to see those curly... Oh, hang on. We've only come to see those curly locks. Come on, Chalky, don't be shy.
Sorry, disappointing, but I'm bold as a coot now. Too much heading the ball.
Oh dear. Right. Well, let's have a look at 1 or 2 of these comments. Oh yeah, Ray Murphy, the club secretary, says there's a charity game at the county ground on Sunday, featuring the stars of This Country, which is an incredibly funny program based in the Cotswolds. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Steve, but there's a charity game at the county ground on Sunday. Does Steve fancy 20 minutes or so?
Yeah, if I could wind my legs back to another 10, 15 years, I might do, but I'm an OAP now, Ray.
Well, if anybody can persuade you, I'm sure Ray Murphy can. Steve says, Swindon will go to Wembley, finally break the hoodoo of that new Wembley. I've mentioned it twice now. Oh, no. It's no good, is it? Daz St. George says, Chalky, miss you in the legends for our chat and free pint for you. ATB Dazzler off the padded bus. you go.
Dazzler, I remember you well, Dazzler,
yeah,
and especially
absolutely.
from that padded bus, as you call it.
Marvelous. Where else have we got? Oh yeah. Kerry says it was nice to see the Thompson brothers and Colin Calderwood watching yesterday too. I think Simon Ferry was there, and Colin obviously very much involved with Northampton, isn't he? So he's the assistant manager there. So very good reason for him to be there. But we had a couple of players who we'd had on loan earlier in the season in the away end at Walsall, Steve, watching us last Saturday, which is great, isn't it?
A couple of our players. Yeah.
Well, a couple of loan players who aren't at the club anymore. There was Kane Kessler-Hayden and Tyree Simpson. So they were along to watch the team, which I think shows you the spirit.
Yeah, they've got a feeling for the club, obviously, and super good to see them there. And the more the merrier. And let's hope we can fill one of those ends and make a lot of noise.
Definitely. Kevin says, I'm going to stand in a field from 7:45 p.m. till 10 p.m. Might struggle to watch. So nervous. I know. It's going to be one of those. Let's get the rest of the panel on then, and we can contribute to this debate. It's great to have the expertise. Andy, a very good evening to you.
Good evening.
Mitchell, a very good evening to you.
Good evening.
Johnny, a very good evening to you from the Swindon Advertiser, of course. What about that form that Steve was talking about in terms of the formation? What do you reckon he might go with on Thursday night?
I would like him to stay as a back four. I know he has changed things around throughout the season, but I think this run that we've been on, we've just had Conroy and Baldry playing out of their skins, and it's been superb. And I would be loath to change that. I understand, Port Vale might come at us, it might be better tactically, but I just like the way that we've been playing these last four or five games. So I would be keen just to leave it as it is. You can do it, of course, with Egbo now. I mean, Egbo is a very competent fullback and a wing back. And of course, you've got Ellis that could do the left-hand side. But for me, back four, leave the two. They were absolutely superb. I think they made Bobby Moore and Lauren Blanc at some stage, wasn't it? It was so good.
Yeah, Mitchell, I mean, Dion Conroy has really benefited with Baldry next to him again, hasn't it? I mean, they look really, really good together.
Yeah, the one thing you notice between them is the non-stop talking. So Baldry is a natural leader, and you can see that throughout the pitch. He's shouting and screaming at everyone, and then it means that, in my opinion, it takes a little bit of responsibility away from Dion, so Dion can focus more on his game. And when Dion focuses purely on his game, he's fantastic. The thing that surprised me most about Baldry is he seems to have, and I must not have noticed it before, got this little bit of quick feet. He seems to be able to just turn people and burst through the middle of the park. At one point, he started running at centre forward. He's like, "Reed, cover me! I'm going on an adventure." And he was sprinting into the box. And I was like, "What's he doing?" They've both been sensational. And to be fair, the five of them, I'd say, so Egbo, Ellis, and then AK when he needs to fill in as well. Don't need to forget about him. They've been great. And I think, when Cooper went, I was really concerned because Cooper and O'Brien were fantastic. As soon as you took Cooper out, he was a leader. I was concerned, but those two at the back have just been, absolutely sensational. And one of the main reasons we're on this winning run, in my opinion.
Johnny, O'Brien's height, would that be useful at Port Vale? Because as we know, they've got some monsters up front, haven't they? So would that be useful?
I don't know. I think Dion and Baldry have done pretty well. Like Dion's got a decent leap on him, hasn't he? He's got some powerful legs. So I think they basically showed in the first leg that they're perfectly capable of dealing with them. I don't think Port Vale would have scored without the referee's help, and obviously that's how it turned out. So yeah, I'd agree with the other two. I'd be tempted, and I also think that Garner will stick with what's worked. He hasn't played five since probably Christmas or before that, and things were starting to go a bit pear-shaped. He's found this 4-3-3 and it works really well. So I'd be shocked if he changed it, to be honest.
Tyree Simpson was there yesterday too, says Ray. So goodness me, pretty much a whole Swindon 11 was there yesterday, it seems to me. Fantastic. Tom Broadbent, of course, was there too. So Simon Ferry came into the Legends Lounge. Sad I missed him. Steve, what about McCurdy? I mean, he's a striker in form, isn't he? And, his finishing is exemplary. Most of it is just one touch. It's extraordinary you've been through seasons like that where pretty much everything you do goes into the back of the net. It must be a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, I think if you, as a centre forward, if you're fortunate enough to get on an early run of goals, and you can get 4 or 5 by September time, then it gives you that confidence. Having seen McCurdy play a couple of times, he's obviously got tremendous speed off the mark, his acceleration. He's happy to take a player on, can go outside him at ease, and he strikes a good shot at goal. So he's one of our major threats, and I'm sure that Darryl Clark will have him closely watched next Thursday. But we need more than one threat, don't we, on the night? And Davison has done quite well. I watched him at Exeter in the centre forward position. He holds the ball up quite well. So he's a bit of a foil for him. And Payne has done well also. But the away form has been superb, hasn't it? They've won, 4 out of the last 5 away from home, and scored plenty of goals as well. So, and I think we're going 5 wins out of the last 6. So go into it in a rich vein of form. And as I've said before, it's such a difficult call, Vic.
He's going back to a former club, although not. I mean, he didn't play hundreds of games. I'm not sure how many games he played for Port Vale, if any. Looking at his TV interview last night, but does that make any difference, Steve, to a player? I mean, he loves winding up the opposition fans of clubs he's been to. He loves it. He thrives on it. So, if you were Port Vale manager, would you say lay off him because it really inspires him?
Yeah, well. I see players can react differently, can't they, to returning to their former club or a club they've played for before, or that they've got ties with, or they know the manager, and some are inspired by it. Others go into their shell, and it's very difficult. He's quite a passionate lad, isn't he? And he's the sort of boy I would say that won't faze him at all, and he will look forward to the challenge of producing on the day. And he's been a match winner for us many times.
It certainly has. An extraordinary season. Andy, what are your thoughts ahead of Thursday? How are you feeling? Because, this week's going to go on forever, isn't it? And, you just want Thursday night to come around, but you don't want Thursday night to come around. It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Very true. I'm actually quietly confident. I mean, it was obviously disappointing giving that goal away, but I hope Ben Garner sort of shows a little video of the Port Vale, the way that they were reacting to the final whistle. They were I thought they thought that they'd done the job. They were very cocky. As long as we carry on playing the way we've been playing on the front foot, and as long as we go out, what I don't want to happen is that we start slow, and we were a little bit slow yesterday. Go out there and with some of the way that we've been playing. I mean, the classic Walsall getting that goal in the 3rd minute, but getting on the front foot and just pretending that almost the scores are level. Because I think if we set back, Port Vale, they're a good side, they'll take us. But the thing is, we will score, won't we? Was it 3 games away from home in the league this year that we haven't scored? Was it Barrow, Rochdale, and Tranmere? So I'm confident we're going to get a goal. So that means, Port Vale need a couple. And I don't think they scored twice in about 7 or 8 games. So, I'm confident.
Mitchell, how are you feeling?
Well, I was confident, and then I realised we're Swindon. So part of me wanted to say, I don't think there's any issue. But I also felt that after the Sheffield United game when we took the lead in the last playoff. So in the Swindon way, you just never know. That Walsall game, there's no way in a million I thought it would ever have been 3-0. That's not the Swindon way. I feel confident. I feel like we'll go and win the whole thing, if I'm being openly honest, which is I'm quite a pessimistic fan. I always expect the worst. But looking at the form we're going into, everyone we're playing, I'd rather play Northampton than Mansfield, if I'm being honest. But I'm not scared. I think they're all scared of us, to be honest. It's the team who go in with the run, and we're the team with the run. We've won 4. We've now won 5 on the trot. That's the team. The previous times we've slipped into the playoffs or not really hit the form, and we're just in the playoffs at the right time. This is the first time I can remember where we're running into the playoffs. So it gives me confidence.
Johnny, I mean, you've spoken to them. You've talked to the manager. You do it regularly. How do you think they're feeling? I mean, we had Alison Willits on last week, the physio, and she was saying the club is completely focused. And We saw that with McCurdy on the pitch at Walsall when he did there are 3 games left thing, although technically 2, and then possibly a third. See what I mean? But, they do seem completely focused on it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have a load of experience, but it's been promotion, relegation, potential promotion for me, and when it's been at the Advert. But it feels like, yeah, I've not really. I don't think it's ever been like this. It's almost a case of a kind of Stockholm syndrome. You start to believe, like, you have your thoughts, but then when you hear them talk, you think, well, say what you want, but they are completely focused and dedicated to what they're doing. They believe in that process. Garner's says it in every interview. The players almost kind of echo it when they come out and do their things. So yeah, I mean, he spoke to Conroy afterwards, and he was a case of like, it was no like, oh, we've won the game, really pleased, we played really well, blah blah. It was a case of, we need to compete. If we compete, we win, because we're a better team than them. That was basically the message that he kept on repeating. So yeah, I've full confidence that if they play, like the way they can, and they focus on themselves, and they keep this focus, then yeah, it's going to take something incredible for Port Vale to turn it around.
Well, it's going to be fantastic. Joe says if we score first, we'll win. I think we'll be 2-1 again. Fingers crossed. If Davison gets booked on Thursday, will he miss the final should we get there? Been worrying about that, as he's pretty much the one player we can't replace as Andy. And then Jason says he'll be suspended, Johnny. Is that right? 2 bookings in the semi-finals, he missed the final?
I don't think that's true. I think it's unless you get sent off, but I will check with the EFL, because that is obviously quite key.
Okay. Right. One thing I am going to talk about the final because of one thing, Steve, and they're going to use VAR in the final. Now, let's leave about who might be in the final. What are your thoughts on that? None of these teams have played using VAR at all. So what are your thoughts on that?
They're going to trial it in the final at this level, yes?
Well, all 3 playoff finals will use VAR, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, personally, I think it's a good thing. There's so much said and on TV now when we watch Premiership games, and we're all looking to go back over this. What side did the ball cross the line? Was it a penalty? Was it inside, outside the box? And I think it is definitely most times I think we get the correct end result. But then it's still open to conjecture, isn't it? From the managers that come on after from the losing team, they have an angle on it as well. But I think personally, I think it's a good thing. Whether or not we can afford to have it at the lower league levels, League One and League Two, throughout the season is another call. I'm not sure we're able to do that yet, but yeah, for me, it's positive.
Yeah, we had Mike Malarkey, the assistant referee, on here a couple of weeks ago, and he's always said that the biggest problem with lower league level is the expense, because obviously, equipment has to be fitted, all that kind of thing as well. So that is the problem. How would you have dealt with it in your day, though? Because let's be honest, you bang the ball in the back of the net, and your immediate reaction is to celebrate, isn't it? And then we see this sometimes interminable delay as to whether they sort out whether it's a goal or not. How would you have felt about that?
Yeah, do you know, that's a good question actually, Vic, because when I played, when you score a goal, a couple of things happen. The first thing is, before the ball hit the back of the net, I always knew I'd scored. So I always knew that it was a goal before, because you're so intensely concentrating on your shot or your header or whatever, it's past the keeper, and you're the first to celebrate. But the second thing you do immediately, I watched, can't say the other night, the Tottenham manager, and straight away after not the previous game, not the penalty that Kane scored on Saturday against Burnley, straight away he looked across at the linesman to see what his reaction was, and that was my immediate reaction every time I scored any goal, anytime, any place, anywhere. Look across to see if that man in black has got his yellow flag up or not. And so yeah, it's I think it's got to be good for the game, hasn't it? The VAR, it absolutely got to be good for the game.
Well, they've been calling it for years, haven't they? And so here it is. Whether we like it or whether we don't like it, it's here. So that's that. Andy, your thoughts on it?
I'm not a great fan of it. I'm glad it's for the Premier League, so we don't have a lot to do with it. I think it's getting better, isn't it? And it was like a lot of things like Hawkeye and DRS in cricket, it's sort of getting refined, and so it's improving. And it's got to be, it's basically to stop the howlers, isn't it? We'd like to think. An interesting one we were talking before we came on about the second goal yesterday, about whether that would have counted with VAR. It certainly would have been looked at. I think two of our players were in offside positions when the ball went in. I think because I think the goalie was a little bit further out. So, I mean, it is what it is. Let's hope that it's not used. We don't need it. And the game, when we obviously win on Saturday week, we don't require it.
Yeah, the goal line technology is in, Mitchell, isn't it, as well? That was, I think, in operation yesterday, because Marcus Cassidy tweeted about how he'd spent 3 hours helping to sort it out. So, that's in. And I think that is a real positive, isn't it? The goal line technology, Mitchell. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and it's same as VAR. I think they're there for a reason. It's there to 95% of the time they're right. And unfortunately, if it goes against you, it's frustrating because it's gone against you. But 95% of the time, it's there to help the refs. It's there to support the refs. But again, watching it on TV is fine because you get to see the replays. But as I said to you guys before, I went and watched Scotland play Israel, and we had to wait for it. And when you're watching it live and you don't get to hear any commentator, you can't see any of the replays, you have no idea. And the referee goes to a screen, and you're just sat there looking around like, is this going to happen? That's when I go, no, I don't enjoy it. It's not fun because on TV, and I think it's great, but when you're at a live game, it kills it, and you're just there. It just ruins the atmosphere. It's not nice to be watching it live. TV, great, fine, but watching a live game, I don't enjoy it. It's not nice.
There was that famous occasion, I think, Johnny, wasn't there, where Tottenham and Man City were playing in the European Cup semi-final, and Pep Guardiola thought Manchester City had scored the winner, only for it to be wiped out. So, those moments are taken away. What are your thoughts? I think Ben Garner said earlier this season that he's in favour of it, hasn't he, VAR?
Yeah, I mean, there's I think there's a report from the Times that said that they were sort of going to try, or they were thinking of trialling a VAR light in the EFL. So there would be basically four cameras. There would be like, I think an official in the stands with like an iPad or something. So it would basically just be for goals and red cards or something. Like it was, obviously as the name would suggest, sort of a pretty basic version. And he said he was like massively in favour of that. I think if it wasn't involving Swindon, I'd say great, because VAR generally, it has improved. It's not perfected it. But it's improved the decision making. Obviously, the frustration with VAR comes with when 99% of people. I think the obvious one was Everton, Man City not too long ago. I think it was Rodri clearly handballed it. It's handball for everyone in the world apart from the referee, and then they didn't give it. So that's when you get a bit frustrated with it. But I mean, we as soon as I saw that the EFL say, VAR is going to be used in the final, the natural instinct of probably me and a lot of Swindon fans went, well, when we're going to get our first goal ruled out because of VAR, and none of us are ever going to see a goal at Wembley and say that. But obviously we've got to get there first, so we'll cross that bridge when we hopefully come to it.
Ray Murphy and he's the club secretary. So this is the definition of suspended or not suspended. That is not correct. The next cut-off point is 15 cautions. So I think it's fair to say.
All right. I think Ellis is highest on 12 or 13.
Right. Well,
Reed is around 10 or 11, 12. So no, I don't think any of basically unless you get sent off on Thursday, no one can be suspended.
Fair enough. Okay. Right. Hannah says, hello, Hannah. It's very lucky to have spent extended periods of time with this squad. They are the real deal and have a steely twinkle in their eye and are technicians to a man. Fear not, the Reds are going up. Great to have such confidence. Refereeing, Steve. Now, it's an interesting point here on, where is it? Oh, yeah. This is from House and Holiday Home Mortgages. I don't know if you're involved in that in any way, Steve, but anyway. Mark says, imagine waiting for the decision when Mr. White was poleaxed by Leicester. How would you have felt?
Well, it's a great question, that, isn't it? I understand what Mitchell's saying just now, that, you know, actually to have a hold up and a stoppage during the game to watch the action replay, it can be a bit off-putting for supporters, and obviously if you're held up for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, then yes, I understand that, and that is possibly something they need to speed up on. But of course, to come to the correct decision, then you certainly need to take your time. An interesting one was the Arsenal centre half, I forgot his name now, that blocked off Sonny in the Arsenal Spurs game a few days ago, and he'd already committed a stupid foul, his first yellow, grappling with him on the halfway line 2 or 3 times. That was a yellow card, and the second yellow was definitely a sending off offence, because he's dropped his shoulder right into his face to block his run. You don't agree, Mitchell?
No, I think Son. This is another panel, but yeah, I think Son was had the ref to a T. So
Do you think
I don't
so?
think it was.
Do you not? But I mean, the way he ran into it, it looked like he didn't see he obviously knew the Arsenal centre half was there, and I think the Arsenal centre half decided really late on just to drop his shoulder in, and said, don't get me wrong, centre half do this all day long. I've had it done to me many times, and in days gone by, you get away with it, no problem. But because of the way that it's watched now, then you will not get away with that. And I felt it was a foul, but this is great. This is great to have this conversation, isn't it? And you've got one opinion there, and you're probably an Arsenal fan. No.
Well, I was going to say, from which persuasion are you coming from, Mitchell? Here, are you?
I'm coming from a guy who could see a player milking a referee. It was, I think he ran into his arm on purpose. But then I also think the manager should have taken him off, because he could see that the ref was buying everything that Son done. So after yellow card, similar to Ellis should have come off the other week, we could see that the ref was going to do it. So sometimes it is what it is. If the ref made a decision that he thinks this situation is happening, someone on the sideline should see and go, I'm going to have to pull him. I don't agree with it, but the ref's obviously seeing something here, so I need to pull him.
Well, Darryl Clark did that yesterday with Charsley, didn't he? Charsley should have been
gone and Ben didn't see it a few weeks ago with Ellis, when we could all see that Ellis was going to get sent off.
Steve, how outrageous a comment is that players would do something to try to con the referee? How outrageous a comment is that?
You're asking the wrong bloke now. This is why it's such a great game, Mitchell and Johnny and Andy, because we've all got different opinions, and we all can see it from a different angle, and we all know maybe a player's persuasion. If he's an attacking player, maybe diving in the penalty area, going down, he should get a yellow card if the referee is close enough and can see that it is simulation. Should always get a yellow card. That's another one, for example, that they can look at again, simulation. That is something that is a major plus with the VAR. So sorry, Vic, what was your question? How
outrageous is it that a player might milk the referee?
Yeah, well, look, I can only speak for myself, and obviously, the way I played wholeheartedly, tried to work hard for 90 minutes, and you always know it's a contact sport up against your direct opponent. I always felt if a centre half or a defender illegitimately tried to stop me and got away with it, then as far as I was concerned, then it was game on. However I can get the upper hand on you, I will do. Whether that is, and I didn't always succeed, of course, whether that is by a bit of clever play, or if you're tackled from behind, you go down, you stay down a little bit longer the second time, and the referee's then thinking, well, yeah, I'll let you get away with it a second time to the centre half. We won't yellow card you yet, but you're planting a seed in the referee's mind, aren't you? And then, from my position, if you're in a situation where central defenders have got a card against them, then you have the upper hand immediately, because you know that they're going to be very cautious about trying to whip the ball in front, come and steal it from behind, and that gives you that extra split second of time to maybe turn and get a shot at goal. So, yeah, I mean, it's called professionalism, and it's not a dirty word. It's all part and parcel of the game, and as I said before, there's that line that you mustn't cross. But sometimes we all go very close to it, and because of the passion involved in and the intensity now, especially at the Premier League level, where it's just phenomenal, isn't it? The Arsenal-Chelsea game, so the Liverpool-Chelsea game of the weekend, you must have all saw it. It's just the athleticism of the players nowadays is just unbelievable, and especially with the way Klopp wants his team to play, to press from the front, and the intensity which they've done that and narrowed the gap on Man City over the last since Christmas is just unbelievable. So the margin for error there is very fine. It's very small, and that's what makes it the great spectacle sport that it is in this country, and has been for so long now. And all these things, I mean, Sky and when it came in, and VAR and all the things that are trying to improve the game with, I think gradually we tweak them and get them right.
Well, I mean, it would have been useful to have had VAR in 1993, because it would have absolutely confirmed, Steve, that it was a totally and proper penalty. David Ellery got it spot on, and I'll never prove otherwise, will they?
Well, you're absolutely right. It was a penalty. So
definite penalty.
Jason says chalky football's all about opinions, and that's why it's a beautiful game. And how good was Bams at getting soft free kicks or pens? Now, David Bamber had a great reputation, didn't he, for getting penalties for Swindon? It was incredible, really. But he was a great player, wasn't he? So, defenders were going into him and bringing him down. It was that simple, really. He had the pace to get past defenders and get them into a tackle.
Steve. Yeah, he did. He had he seemed to have his expertise at drawing fouls in and around the penalty box was quite amazing, actually. Yeah, I don't know whether it's because he's like 6'4" and his long legs, once they got into once he got into his stride, he was difficult to catch and stop. Or that his long legs got tangled up with opposing defenders. I'm not sure quite what it was, but he did have that propensity to gain lots of free kicks in and around the penalty area, and obviously penalty kicks as well. Yeah, for such a tall player. But he was a good athlete, Vic. He was a very good athlete. As you know, we did a lot of running with Louis, and he was always right up there with the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, Ray Murphy hasn't given me the stats for Louis Reed and for Jack Payne, how far they ran yesterday. He did last week, and Jack Payne was slightly behind Louis Reed. So I wonder whether that contest has been evened out. I don't know if Ray can give us those stats or not. But
how far did they run?
Just over 10 kilometres, 6.028 or 6 point something like that. So over 6 miles. I mean, is that a lot in a game, Steve?
It is, but some figures are much higher than that. But those are good stats.
Very good, Ray. If you could drop us those, that'd be really good. Tamsin says, "Who would want to play our front six? Goal threats all over the place. Trust me, it's coming home. And the Starman running down the right is dangerous as well." As Terry says, I think Chalk is in the dark as he paid his lecky bill. I know energy prices are going up, but there we are.
Times are hard, love.
They are, times are hard. Yeah. Andy, we had something flashed up on the screen. I think it was from Ian saying, will Davison be fit, because he was hobbling at the end of the game yesterday. Quite a few of them were hobbling, weren't they?
They were. I'm not convinced that Harry McCurdy's fully fit. He came back from that calf injury, and I still don't think he's fully fit. But I mean, he's still giving you absolutely everything. So so let's hope that all I'd like to see the same 11 on Thursday, and let's hope they're all fit. They'll obviously have a few knocks and bruises. I mean, the stick that Davison took yesterday, he was magnificent, wasn't he? I mean, he was up against some big lads, and he gave it as good as he got, and he didn't get a great deal of protection from the referee, it's fair to say. So hopefully they're all right, and like Alison said last week, they'll all come in with lots of bruises, she'll do her magic, and they'll all do the magic, and they'll be there Thursday.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in. This is from Glenn. Hi, Glenn. I'll take back what I said the other week when I said the playoffs are out of reach. Just want to say, come on, Swindon, prove all fans of me wrong, and go all the way and join Forest Green Rovers, Exeter, and the other Rovers, and that all West Country side's getting promoted, by the way. Nice to hear, Chalky. Come on, you Reds. Whatever happens is from Darren now. What a season. Yes, some shocking home games, but overall, it's been a blast. The club's engagement with the fans has been brilliant. I'm more passionate about my hometown club than ever before after we possibly lost it all last summer. Bamsworth's a great guy as well. He's still the only player to win a penalty without a defender within 10 yards of him. And
That's about right, Vic.
yeah, it is. It's about right. Yeah. And Charlie says, reckon we've easily got the win Thursday. McCurdy to bag too. Well, Mitchell, that'd do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just want to go back to something that Andy just said quickly. Davison, I think he's fantastic, and if you don't, he gets a lot of stick. And in my opinion, if you don't think he's very good, you don't understand football, because what he does for the team as a central focal point is so important. That the reason why your McCurdy's and your Barrys get to do what they do is because of him. He has to fight, and he's still a very young centre forward, fighting out these experienced 6'4", 6'4", two of them as well most weeks, trying to compete and trying to bring everyone into the game, as well as the work rate he puts in. He holds the ball up really well whilst he's getting his hair pulled or his back pulled or his heel stood on every game. And what he gives that team from a focal point is so important. Like, I think we had a game where every time he came off, we fell apart. I think there's one game where we had Barry and McCurdy up front, and it just looked terrible. So anybody who doesn't think he's any good, because I saw some comments, you clearly don't understand the game, because what he brings to the team is fundamental.
Yeah,
Just wanted to say that.
He probably needed about 3 shirts yesterday, because most of them were ripped off and thrown away, really, weren't they? What was what did I got?
McCurdy scored 2 goals.
Yes, that's right. Ray Murphy says Jack Payne did 10,439 meters yesterday, so that's 10k and a bit. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good going. Well said, Mitchell, says Steve, and I think we're all agreeing with that. I mean, Josh Davison isn't an out-and-out goal scorer. He is a centre forward, though. He works his socks off, and I've had great admiration for him. So McCurdy 2 goals, Mitchell. Is that going to happen?
I'll take a 0-0.
Yeah,
I'll take anything that takes us. Well, I've got a ticket. I've got a ticket for the game, but my wife is due to give birth.
Oh.
So if she has to give birth, well, actually, the due date is the 28th of May. So Wembley.
What is it with you? Because the last time you were on here, you were going to some wedding when the Barrow game was on. What are you doing?
Get your priorities right, Mitchell.
Well, we've known this for 6 months. Okay, so we've worked it all out. Port Vale, she has to give birth today or tomorrow if I'm allowed to go. If she hasn't given birth, it's too far away for the risk. But Wembley, I can go. I'll drive because I've got a office right next to it at Wembley. I will park there. I won't drink. I'll watch the game, and if I have to go, I have to go. She understands it. She gets it. The only thing she's not letting me have is I want to name her Harriet after Harry McCurdy, and she's not letting me have that.
So, if you don't mind me, is this the first or second?
Second. No, we got Theo, which came from Theo Robinson, weirdly enough.
Dear me,
she's not letting me have Harriet.
And therein lies the lesson of not naming children after lone players.
Lone players, it's just not on, is it?
Two-edged sword. He's earned me a lot of money scoring against us since.
One of my sons called Fraser. So
there you go.
Digby?
Amazing.
He was born in 1991. Leave it there.
My daughter's called Emma. I'm not sure what that means, really. And son called David. Could be anybody. It's a generic phrase, really. Johnny, I can't remember where we are now after that. Extraordinary Mitchell Singh sort of life story, weddings, births. They just go on and on and on. What else you got lined up? Anything else, or is that it for the moment?
That's it for now.
Well done. Right. Will he get 2 goals on Thursday? I think. I mean, the point is, you can't really mark McCurdy, can you? That's the point, because you know where he is half the time.
Well, yeah, sort of similar to the Davison. You can mark Davison, but he gives as good as he gets. So you have to, you kind of commend him for that. But McCurdy, all the cliches that everyone has said about him, he plays off the cuff, he plays, on the shoulder, he runs in behind. I think the only thing I'd say is slightly different to a normal sort of, he's more of a forward than a winger, but when a lot of wingers, I think Louis Barry would probably be a decent example because he's only 18. When people say like, oh, he doesn't know what he's going to do next. because Barry probably doesn't know what he's going to do next because he's a bit inexperienced and he hasn't quite got that sort of that experience to fall back on. But McCurdy is so clever; he knows what he's going to do before he does it, and often or not this year he's executed it really well. So I don't think I could do a 0-0 like Mitch said. I'd be tearing my hair out. If he scores 2, great. I think my worry or like my wish, if you like, would be, I said to someone earlier in the office, I think I'm gonna just be on edge all week. If you told me, if someone comes back from the future and they say to me, I've seen the start of the game, it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, I'm like, fine, absolutely fine. Because my fear, my actual fear is that I'm getting Charlton flashbacks and that we're 2-0 down out of nowhere, and then you're just going, oh no. It's sort of, how has this kind of slipped away from us? But at the moment, we are completely in control. We've got one chance effectively to slip up, but you obviously don't want to use it too early. So if it's 0-0 at half time, brilliant. But I'd really rather we scored 1 or 2 as early as possible.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Loads of comments coming in. Malcolm says, Mitchell, I understand football. Davison is not blameless. He likes to back into his opponent and can't head a ball for toffee. He does, however, run his socks off and give everything to the cause. Alex says, what a great atmosphere yesterday. So excited for the trip away next Thursday. Hopefully the W word next Saturday. Love that we have our club rocking again. Shout out to my gaffer Marcus for producing an outstanding surface yesterday. Yeah, well done, Marcus. And all the backroom staff who've been magnificent this season. They work really, really hard. So amazing stuff. He's a green-fingered magician, the old Stonehouse rammer. Well done to you. Trevor says, have Harriet as her middle name. It's a lovely name. Darren says, I had a cat called Hoddle. There you go. I'll leave it there. Keith says, I think they'll kick McCurdy all around the park and then could react. Matt says Vale will have to try and score. We'll just pick them off in the counter all day long. And in the legend, Tamsin says it was in the legends after, and Davidson said defenders were pulling his hair out and using the good old dark arts, which you mentioned earlier. Steve, I mean, in terms of a centre forward, he's not an out and out goal scorer, but to have somebody who can, hold the ball up for somebody who might come in and score, that is a great talent, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw him at Exeter. He played. I think we lost 2-1 that night. That you were there.
Yeah.
Was it 2-1 or 3-1?
No, 3-1. 3-1.
Sorry, 3-1.
Yeah.
And they were the better team on the night. We have to say that, and they've been promoted, almost champions. But yeah, I think he's, from what I saw of him that evening, his hold-up play is his biggest strength with his back to goal. He's how old is he?
22, I think.
22. So he's a young player, and he's on loan from Charlton, is he?
Yes, he is. I think.
Yeah,
I think I heard today that hasn't he been offered an extended contract? Is that right? At Charlton.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm ignorant because I've only seen the one game. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
But I mean, he seems excellent player. That's his strength. And with McCurdy, a forward running player, unpredictable what he's going to do next. He can beat a player easily. Then I think obviously it will be a good combination. But they've got plenty of spaces to run into at Vale Park, and we hope that we hope they can be successful on the evening. But who knows? We're going into the unknown now, aren't we? And there's so many variables, and it can depend on a sending off or an injury, or maybe a bit of inspiration from the manager, referee error, given a penalty. There's so many variables that can come in. We just cannot predict that. But let's fingers crossed. Let's hope it's going to be our day and another trip to Wembley. I mean, the club has had so many. Is it 9 or 10 times we've been to Wembley, and that's one of the best stats from most clubs in the EFL, isn't it?
Well, six, I think.
Semi-final.
I think we've been in the playoffs. I think this is like the 9th or 10th time. It's like
sorry,
second
Johnny. That's what I meant. The playoffs. Not 10 appearances at Wembley. So that augurs well for the football club, doesn't it? Yeah. And done very well indeed in that respect. And of course, we've had some great managers there over those years. Yeah,
definitely. Andy says my son is Thomas after Rod. Didn't like the name Roderick. Of course, Rod Thomas was Roderick Thomas. Absolutely. Did you have any animals or anything named after you, Steve, as far as you know?
When I was at Swindon, my nickname was the Ripper, so an animal was named after. I was named after an animal. Yeah. I don't know if you remember him because I had a shock of hair. I've got none left now of it. But obviously, he was rather infamous
Yes.
many years ago. The Yorkshire Ripper. That's
Yes.
what Calder would used to call me every morning.
Oh, great! Oh, marvelous.
So no, I don't think I've had any animals named after me. Not in my family, anyway.
Fair enough. Michael says the atmosphere at the club now is better than when Di Canio was at the club. Ian says Davison or Tarzan, as McCurdy called him on social media today. I'm not terribly sure that was Harry McCurdy. Anyway, we'll leave it there, shall we? Charlie Woods, hopefully most loan players will come back next year. Davison was offered a 1-year extension. Yes, says Charlie. I think we need to thank one person, and that's Clem. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. Yes, James says Charlton have exercised his 1-year extension, so they get money for him. And James also says, Steve, I named my rabbit Chalky. So there you go.
He must have been white in colour, I suppose.
I would imagine so. Right, let's go around the panel then, because it is that time. Andy, what do you think? We're all, well, those of us lucky enough to go. Sorry, Chris, I know you're not going on Thursday, so I apologise now. Andy, what are your thoughts?
As I said earlier, I'm confident. We're playing away. We nearly always score away from home. And it all depends on whether that first, I think, like Johnny said, the first 20 minutes, we come out and play positive on the front foot with the 11 that we can put out, we put out. Jack Payne gets on the ball early doors as well, because I think he was a little slow to get into the game yesterday. Then I'm very confident that we're going to sort of do this quite comfortably, probably a 1-0 win. They're not, they're not the most prolific of goal scorers, but Proctor will probably start, won't he? Because I think he's coming back from injury. He's probably their top goal scorer, and they are a threat. They're big, and whilst we were coping really, really well with the set pieces, that's always an extra threat, the big long throw. But I'm confident. I think we're going to win 1-0.
Mitchell, possibly there, possibly not.
I think it's going to be 1-0. I think we're going to dominate for 70 minutes, 1-0 up. They're going to score in the 75th minute. And in classic Swindon's, the last 15 minutes, we're going to be nervous as hell.
Yeah, well, hey.
But we'll 1-1. We'll go to Wembley.
Ain't that always the way, though? Darren says, nice to see Swindon Supermarine FC was the official match sponsor yesterday. Jez Webb runs a great ship at the Webbswood Stadium. Steve says, if Swindon don't go up, there'll be no local derbies. League One next year would be brilliant. Well, Newport, I guess, would be the nearest, wouldn't it? But League One next year, basically Southwest League, isn't it? So that would be a great plus if we do. Johnny? You predicted we'd get to the playoffs, for goodness sake. So we should listen to you right now.
Yeah, in my wonderful pre-season prediction, I didn't really think I'd have to go this far. So I just thought we'd get in the playoffs. Look, I think if I'm going to stick by the point that I was making at the start of the year, and I said we get in the playoffs, with the way that Clem's luck's been going, just basically magically pulling a team, putting the right people in the right positions to get the team to do what we've done, to pull Man City, arguably the best team in the world in the FA Cup. Everything he's done has turned to gold. I really wouldn't be surprised if we went up at Wembley. I said to a guy at Warsaw, I think it was one of the national reporters, so if we go up this year, they'll make movies about this season. It's just ridiculous. The amount you could break it down. We could be here for several hours and break down little key moments of the whole season. It's been absolutely just unbelievable in the literal sense of the word. At times, absolutely unbelievable. So, I have complete faith in Ghana, in the team, what they're going to do. I got on board fairly early with. I like his style of football. Some people don't. That's fine. I really like the way they play. I say live and die by the sword. We go out and do what we've done every time away. If it isn't good enough, it isn't good enough. But I would be, given what we've seen, the most part of the season, if we play the way we can play, there are no better teams than us left in the playoffs. it's about taking it one game at a time, obviously, but if they concentrate, don't play, as the cliche goes, play the game, not the occasion. If we play Port Vale away 11v11, we're a better football team than them. It's as simple as that. So you'd have to hope that we get the job done. That'll be what I would hope for.
How easy is that, Steve, to play the game rather than the occasion? As somebody who scored 2 goals in a playoff final, let us not forget that replay, and got promotion with it. How easy to play the game, not the occasion?
It's difficult, Vic. Yeah, it really is, because, for instance, I'd not played at Wembley Stadium until I was 31, and then twice in 3 years. And so I thought that had passed me by. So the occasion is massive. The build-up is massive. 80,000 people there. And I'm not saying there'll be 80,000 at Vale Park, obviously, but it's a massive occasion. And the players are going. Some players are affected more than others. But you have to try and be professional, try and be steely, and try and keep your nerve. I think I can see Swindon scoring twice if they're true to form. Their away form has been fantastic. I think they will score 2 goals at Vale Park on Thursday. It's just whether or not Port Vale can get more than 2, i.e. three goals to take it to extra time. Is it extra time, or is it a neutral venue?
Yeah,
Extra time and pens, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think they have to score 3 to beat us. To be honest with you, I think I can see Swindon Town scoring 2 goals on Thursday.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I was quite calm before all this, but now I'm really getting quite nervous. So, I'll take a trip to Plymouth Speedway tomorrow night to try and get calm and just have a lot of noise going around in my head. Steve, great of you to join us. And Chris is doing something strange. I'm not sure what Chris is doing. There she is. But Steve, thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you could actually get a camera that works next time, that would be really, really good.
Vic, it must be my end. I'm sorry. I'm a bit of a dinosaur.
It's all right. Well, Chris are you there, Chris, or not there?
I am. I'm having the same problems as Steve tonight. I'm on an old laptop and it's a nightmare. So,
we can see you.
Thank
Chris.
you very much, everybody.
Chris, thank you. Steve, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you, gents. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Mitchell. Thanks, Andy, Chris, and Vic.
Thank you.
No problem. Don't go anywhere for the minute, Steve. But thank you very much, everybody. Just a couple of things. Firstly, Mitchell and your wife, all the best for the oncoming birth. Just like to say, happy wedding day on Thursday to Jack Roberts of Red Squirrel Plumbing. Again, he can't go to Port Vale because he organised his wedding for the day. So,
what is wrong with you people?
It was postponed a few times due to COVID. So,
fair enough. Okay.
And I know this is just come out in the news today about Jake Daniels, who 17-year-old who's just come out as gay, first professional footballer to do it. So full respect to him, all the best to him and everything. And hopefully it will be the catalyst for others to feel they can live their life as they should do. So
Steve, I was just going to ask you, how do you think that, I mean, a professional dressing room, it's a brave decision to do that, Steve, isn't it? And I think the fans have to play a part in this as well. Whenever he plays, to, respect him for what he's come out and said.
Yeah, obviously, Fashanu many years ago was the first to declare his situation, and it's very, very difficult, isn't it, within a football dressing room? And he's a brave lad, but look, he's a human being, and we should respect that.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Fantastic. So thanks again, everybody. Thank you for everybody for watching. I'm sure I can talk Vic into coming back next Monday after the Port Vale game. But again, it'll be on social media when we can. So until then, safe travels on Thursday. My heart will be with everybody there. So I will be doing my best to keep up with it.
You're being very brave, Chris. You're being very brave. We feel
Thank
your
you,
pain.
everybody.
Yeah.
We will go. Won't let me.